Well, you got a couple of questions there. Changes to the immigration laws. Let's talk about enforcement of what we have right now, because I think we're all a little confused on exactly what the immigration laws are, because they are so haphazardly enforced. Let me say what we have to do. I don't know if we have to change the law to do some of these. Number one, we have to secure the borders. The borders must be secure. We cannot have people running across the borders haphazardly, willy-nilly. We've talked about it, but we just have to do that so that people that come into this country come into the country legally. That's number one. Then the second thing that we need to do is we need to verify upon employment that somebody is here legally. In the law passed, I believe it was 1985, that had three elements. One was secure the border, two was verify employment, and three was grant amnesty. The only one of those three elements that was carried out was the amnesty. We did not secure the border. We have a system, and we do it here in this company. It's called the INA 9, I believe. You have to, it's sort of like getting a New Jersey driver's license. You have to have one of these, Social Security card, one of those. You Xerox them, put them in the into the file and keep them. Problem with that, it was so easy to forge any of those documents. Anybody could have forged documents, and nobody ever checked that you were even doing that. There was never any enforcement or any checking. We've been keeping this data. We have files full of INA 9 forms, and nobody's ever looked at it. We haven't sent it up. There is something now which I believe is called E-Verify, which just is coming online, which allows an employer to enter a social security number into the computer, and the computer will come back and with some, you put in some description, some descriptive data, and it'll come back and say, yes, this person is here legally. We need to make that system more operational. A lot of people don't know it exists or are a little confused on it, so we have to do that. So that's number one. The two first items: secure the borders, verify employment. You asked the question, what's my definition of amnesty? Well, I guess amnesty is that if you've committed a crime, your crime is now forgiven, and I guess they even feel that you will automatically become a citizen because you've lived here illegally for X number of years. I'm against amnesty. We should have no amnesty.
What if it's not automatic? What if you have to show that you've worked gainfully for several years, that you haven't committed any crimes? Or should anybody who's found to be here illegally have to leave the country?
Okay, let me finish what my program would be, or what I would suggest. No current amnesty. Do the two things: secure border, verify employment, then wait 5 years. During that 5-year period, you don't do an amnesty, but there's also no wholesale rounding up of illegals. You're not going to have DWI stops if you're illegal, checking the little lady, the gal's mother's papers and that type of stuff. So you just do those two items, let everything sit for 5 years. Then look at the program. Look at how many illegals we really have here. And at the same time, during those 5 years, create, and this is probably the law that may have to be changed, but it may just be the personnel in INI and ICE, changing the program so that people know exactly where they stand. There's too much confusion. There are too many people that put in their papers, put in their forms, and they ask what's my status, and they say, oh, well, we've lost your papers. There's just too much confusion. It's got to be very clear-cut and transparent. If we're going to allow X number of people from a certain country in, we should say, okay, we allow these people in. Here are the criteria. There are a number of different programs. There's, I think it's the H-1 visas are the ones where you have to have a job, but you have to be very careful on that because people have had jobs. They've been here for 10 years. They've been like a year away or 6 months away from getting their citizenship. and a company goes bankrupt, and now all of a sudden they're illegal. So you have to make allowances for that. You have to make rules. You have cases where somebody's married to an American, your spouse is an American, your spouse dies, you're in limbo, you now become an illegal. Or if you do a technicality, you have to go back to Canada or something, you have to leave the country for, 2 days. So we have to make sure those rules are very clear cut, and there has to be an understanding for people that really get caught up with the system where they're not really illegal, they're technically have done something, but we have to really stop allowing people who just walk into the country and then expect to become a citizen without going through the normal process.